Thank you, Councilman. We'll begin with a moment of silent meditation or reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Move on to roll call. Councilman Fincham.
Here.
Councilman Braun.
Here.
Councilman Webb.
Here.
Councilwoman DeWitt.
Here.
Councilman Williams.
Here.
Councilman Bundy.
Here.
Councilwoman Prosser.
Here.
Thank you, sir. Council, in front of you, you have the meeting minutes from the June 3rd regular meeting.
Move to approve as presented.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Recognition of visitors. We have Mike Littlejohn, David Rudrier, okay, Tim and Sharon McEntee, Jeff Jones, and are we missing one? I'm sorry? Okay.
Veronique.
Okay.
Same last name.
Thank you. Welcome. Move on to communications. Is there anyone in the public that would like to address the council? Please.
I have to be under new business. I was gathering strength.
No, that's okay. Come on up to the mic. Please state your name, and if you would, please hit the button on the mic for me.
My name is Sharon McEntee. We've lived at 407 South Main, which is right on the corner of Main and 11, big old red brick house for about 19 years. And we love it, and we love our home, and we love Auburn. When Emily was running for council, she had a meet and greet, and there were a few of us that came with concerns about noise in town. And when we first moved in, I don't think it was as much, but Auburn's grown and bigger and more stuff and everything. So the problem is we are, we want to build community and we want to have time with family like you guys do. We sit on our porch and somebody drives by and maybe they have their windows down in their car and the music is super loud. So all conversation has to stop. And people who come visit us are like, really? Sometimes the words to the music are pretty foul. Tim and I were not offended by much of anything anymore, but there are kids on that street in summertime, especially when windows are down and the music is super loud. And we're music lovers. We're not hateful, curmudgeonly people. We're not. We are musicians. We're fun. But we're just wondering, is there a noise ordinance in place? And how, I think this is a valid concern because when she was running, it wasn't just us. There were several, and not just on Main Street. I think people don't realize. I don't think they are intentional to be disruptive. They're just enjoying their music in their car or in their motorcycle. I used to say, I get it. We get it. But it is, I don't know, it seems like there could be something creative that you guys smart people shush up.
No, you're totally fine.
I agree with everything she's saying. I would like to just open it up broadly to, yes, music is one that's blasting, especially, and I can't blame a motorcyclist. He or she wants to hear the music. and they come riding in through town and it's blaring. But any noise, it could be the motorcycle as they leave the corner of Main and what is it, Ninth? They think, oh, I'm out of town, and they gun. I mean, it's very loud. It's like, is there a city ordinance? I know it would be very difficult to enforce, but maybe we could get anything about that, a sign or something.
And also, is there, I know that they're gonna build apartments in the hotel. I mean, we were out on the porch the other day, in fact, and Jim, is that his name, Minor, his son is.
Kevin.
So he came by and he was, and I mentioned, we're going to the council, and what do you think? And he goes, yeah, because we're up on 9th Street in the upstairs and we hear it and it wakes us, it's a lot. And I get it, if you don't live in town, it's not affecting you, but, we're family, so we're a community. So I guess number one, is there an ordinance? And if you decide there's an ordinance, but we're not gonna do anything, and we're not gonna enforce it, at least those of us who are affected, and there's more than you think maybe, at least we'll know you've heard us. You've heard us, and you've decided what you decide.
And we're willing to volunteer to help
Yeah,
with the solution if it's.
yeah, we're not complainers who don't wanna help solve.
Yeah, there is a noise ordinance within the city limits. One of the difficult things maybe is by the time you would call it in, unless you can get something descriptive from the car. Actually, our police chief just walked in, but I would like, and he'd be the one to tell you what information that they would need. But there is an ordinance in place.
Well, it would actually take a citizen's call. Is that what you're saying?
Well, if the officer's not in the area, like I know that we do have officers that stop vehicles for loud music, loud mufflers. So they would have to be in the area to physically see it unless someone else sees it and calls it in.
But it would take a call, a report.
Yeah, some sort of report, yes.
So there's not,
The problem you have is you only have like 3 or 4 officers on duty and you got the whole city to cover.
Yeah, we're.
So you
it's
can't
not an
put
easy-
somebody
It's not an easy solution.
24/7 at your, I understand your concern because we had it years ago. It's hard to put somebody on like a dedicated patrol just in your area for the noise when you got everything else going on in the city.
What about a sign though? Like she was saying, maybe a sign that we could just remind her that there's a noise enforced, or, noise ordinance enforceable.
right, what if there was a sign? What if there was a sign?
Corey?
So I'm dealing with 2 different incidents here, so I got it under a little late. So complain about the noise ordinance.
Well,
Not that there's a complaint about it, but we complain about the noise and wanted to know if there's an ordinance. It's hard to enforce, but how can we improve?
Is it more towards your exhaust or amplifying devices, or what kind of specific? Her,
That,
I think all of that. We had talked about it briefly.
You know, like any noise, she doesn't like the music especially because it's got an added thing, which is the SEC is no longer.
could we do this? Could I get you information before you leave? Maybe we can sit down and talk.
Yeah.
About some resolution.
They- They live on South Main at Catty Corner for the Moose. That big red brick house.
because it,
Because the vote, guess you're talking about the motorcycles.
well, we get it, they're loud.
Motorcycles with the radios,
But if-
motorcycles gunning on the way out.
And the
Even though they're
lyrics
still
are,
residential, they think, oh, I'm away from the cops, I can go, or something.
and the lyrics can be just,
Sure. I get it.
and they're
Sorry,
kids.
sorry to turn our backs on you
Oh,
guys.
Oh, no, you're
you're
fine.
perfectly
You're
fine.
If we could do that, I'll get your information before you leave, and maybe we could meet in my office this week.
All right,
If I may also, to follow that up, just to let you know, the section is 130.03 of our code on amplifying devices prohibited on the streets, at least for the noise you're talking about. And then it's under subsection E, loudspeakers and sound amplifiers. However, in that subsection, it only regulates between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. So
so it would,
they're-
so if you're out on your porch,
according-
standing up at 4, it won't affect.
well, 4 a.m., 4 p.m., I get your point. I do get your point.
But truly, just, I'm not be quiet, but you know how, when you're coming into town, you've been up north and you come in, and there's that digital readout about your
Speed.
speed.
Mhm.
What if there was something like that about your decibels?
No.
Just something that said, you are at such and such a decibel, and this is what is acceptable in our town, or, I don't know.
I don't know if they
Sometimes
make
just
anything.
a reminder, just a general, we don't have to be hateful about this.
Mhm.
The problem with your decibel devices, they don't pick up everything. They pick out just a solo device. It's not like you're in an amphitheater where you can pick out that at a concert. So it picks up everything on the outside. Because I looked into the stuff. They're not cheap.
That's the other. A little sign would be less expensive, right?
Yeah. We have a noise, we love music, but yours is too loud. Okay, thanks.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you.
I think.
Is there anyone in the public that would like to address the council? Hearing none, we'll move on. Clerk Treasurer?
Good evening. I have the current vouchers for a total of $5,838,032.23.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the vouchers. Any questions or discussion?
Yes, I need to abstain on number 95357 to Web Concrete Construction Incorporated for $2,280. I work for that company.
I'll abstain from 95346 in the amount of 1681 as my place of employment.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ordinances and resolutions?
Before I read 2025-09, I need to make a motion to amend the agenda and add Resolution 03-2025. That is a resolution about the Common Council authorizing submittal of public facility programs through the development block grant application. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to amend the agenda.
Can I just say that'll be after the other one? After the
Okay.
other one.
Any discussions on that?
I have a question on that. Do that. Are we on a deadline or something? Because I just saw it today.
We are. It's through Okra. It's where the city is the pass-through for the ACD Museum, their second phase of their renovations for the exterior. And that is something that is required. They had the public hearing, or both public hearings, correct?
And the application is due Friday. So it is a
That's what I-
big time
Yeah,
constraint.
sometimes we've had the same
We all
things with
work good on
Memorial
it.
as well.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Ordinance number 2025-9, an ordinance amending Chapter 94 of the City of Auburn Code of Ordinances. Summary. This ordinance amends and restates Chapter 94 Weeds, Trees, and Shrubbery of the City of Auburn Code of Ordinances. I move that we pass ordinance number 2025-9 on first reading. Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Pass ordinance 2025-9. Is there any questions or discussion?
Yes, please. Thank you. Number 94.06. I want to clarify there's some changes here on undeveloped properties of the following areas shall not be governed by the subchapter. A, undeveloped property or portions thereof that is at least 25 foot from an adjacent street or an adjacent developed property. Now, is that, I guess I need to understand that legality there. Does that mean that we are going to monitor the weeds and the grass on a 25-foot strip between the street and the property that's not really enforced?
Yes, they have to keep, that's They have to keep the 25 feet
That
clear.
would be like a buffer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. I wish it was said 50. 25 feet is not very far. But so like example, Acres is not mowing their grass up to the road on Main Street. So this is going to force them to mow that 25 foot by
Mm-hmm.
penalty. We're not able to enforce that now.
We don't have anything for it now.
Okay.
Currently, it says just unplatted.
Yeah, they're unplatted, so we have no. Currently, there's
Gotcha.
no for that property and any others that is unplatted.
This is a good thing. I just wish it was maybe a little farther on. Maybe when we see 25 foot being mowed, we're all going to be disappointed.
Does that also include like on the back properties up to people's houses?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Because I know there was a lot of complaints about the properties back there right up to their property line.
Where did the 25 feet come from? Was that like an arbitrary thing or just that was standard from other places? Or can we be more like 50 feet?
That's. I don't want to say arbitrary, but that's what's used in a lot of communities. It's not. I wouldn't say it's a statutory requirement. So it's not. It's something that the city, in drafting this, chose that number, but we're not. It's not the only number that could be chosen.
Okay. Because I really do agree with Kevin that I feel like 25 feet is kind of not a lot, especially when you're driving into our city from the north or some of those other areas when it just doesn't look great.
I think it's a good place to start, and we can certainly come back to it, see how it goes.
Yeah, this is an ordinance, so we're going to read it twice. Planting that seed that I think 50 feet would be better.
Me too.
I want to point out, like in 94.09 and letter B, adding or increasing it from 3 days to 5 days. I think that's really good. I think people are really busy, and giving them a little bit more time is a plus, I think. And I'm sure that the code official, enforcement officer, uses their good judgment. Like if it's got 5 straight days of rain, they're going to give them a little slack, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
On 94.09, section A, I struggle with the word cited. I'm concerned that people are going to read that and think that any department in the city can issue a citation. So I'll just go ahead and make a motion that we replace the word recited or cited rather with the word observed, or I'm sorry, noted.
Second. And I understand where he's coming from, I guess, technically cited. I don't think that's like a statutory term that means you write the citation. Noted, cited, synonymous, that's fine. Or if he doesn't like that word, we can change it to noted.
Then they get referred back to the police department for a citation anyways?
Well, no, building planning development is to do the further investigation.
Okay.
That last red part.
Yeah, it'd be the duty
Okay,
of
yeah,
the
I do
code
see that.
enforcement. Okay, so we have your motion and a second.
To just change that word to
Change
noted.
the word, do that one first, and then we'll
Yep,
go back.
yeah.
Okay. Is there any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second to change 9409, the first line, the
Okay.
word cited to noted. If there's no other questions or discussion on that, we'll call for a question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Any other questions or discussion on the other revisions?
I'll go ahead and voice it because I've been vocal about it to some folks, but I really struggle, to be honest with you. Section B, the way that's worded with between certified mail and first-class mail. It's been somewhat explained to me exactly what their processes are. I can't think of a way that would make it better for me. So I'm just, I guess, proceed forward. And
Yeah, they switched it to first class mail due to state statute, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's what the
And don't
statute
they make
requires.
personal contact with the people anyways?
That's yes.
If
Okay, so
need-
they serve them personally, either them or the police departments or both.
and I think learning that is what made me
Yeah.
more comfortable with what we're doing, because it really doesn't say that clearly in here.
Because I remember the one on
But-
7th Street, Ryan said they served it personally.
Right.
So,
Yes.
Well, it does say the code official, after posting a notice placard to abate, shall serve the owner of the subject copy, blah, blah, blah. So there's a placard being placed. So it does
Yep.
say that they're placing a placard there on the property.
Yeah, if they do not make contact with the property owner or if they don't make contact with the property owner, if they do, that's considered served. If not, they send them the notice through first class mail. If it comes back undeliverable, return to sender, then the third form of connection with the property owner is going to be posting the placard on the door, then that serves as their notice. The second letter that would be sent is a notice of the placard, but their time frame would start as soon as that placard is placed on the door.
yeah, because there's really nothing saying in here if they refuse the certified letter, what do you do?
Well, that's where the placard, so if it comes
Yeah, that's what I
back,
mean.
yeah,
If
so
you send it certified and they're going, I'm not signing that,
Mhm.
and it goes back, where the placard will take care of that problem, I would think.
Yeah, as soon as they place it, their time frame would start. Is that correct?
And I believe when they go and try to make contact with the property owner, if no one is there, they leave a door hanger
Yeah, just a
that
notification.
tells them to call the building and planning department and
Yeah.
other information on it.
And they still, at that point, they leave that just to let them know they were there, but then they automatically send that letter out.
I mean, I'm okay with it the way it's worded in here.
Is there any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution number 3-2025, a resolution of the Common Council of Auburn authorizing the submittal of the Public Facility Program Community Development Block Grant application. Summary. This resolution calls for the Common Council of the City of Auburn, Indiana, to authorize the submittal of the Public Facilities Program Community Development Block Grant application to the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs and addresses related matters. Upon passage, the resolution shall be maintained at www.ci.auburn.in.us. The Office of the Clerk Treasurer shall maintain the resolution as part of the record of the City of Auburn, Indiana. I move that we pass Resolution 3-2025 on its reading.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to pass resolution 3-2025. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. We'll move on to reports. There's nothing from the mayor this evening. Council President,
No report.
Plan Commission.
Yes, at our last meeting last Tuesday, we had several items on the agenda. One was Continental Tires kind of reworking their parking lot, adding another truck entrance off to the east side of the building that will accommodate some trucks too. They're kind of separating the workings of their plant, so it'll give them a better access to that. DeKalb Central also had a parking lot issue behind where the new stands for the home team will be. So that went through as well. Dutch Brothers is going to be building a new coffee house out between, is it Lassus and the other gas station? No, it's out between two gas stations on Highway 8 going west of town on the north side of 8th Street. YMCA also had an expansion that they were going to do. So that was on there. Thomas Estates, which is on Auburn Drive, south of Highway 8. There's going to be a new housing addition over there. And that went through and passed. And then there's going to be a UDO amendment number 6 that will be coming to council as well. And it was a very lengthy meeting. So, yeah.
Thank you. Brings us to committees.
Tax phase-in committee, we have 9 property CF1s to look at. And I'll start with the ones I made the inspections to. So I have a CF1 for Auburn Gear. I actually have 2 for them. One was submitted in 2020 and one was submitted in 2023. They are current employment of 120, which is down a little bit on what their projections were when they submitted, but they have all the equipment in place in the facility, and they have pulled their I don't know if it was overseas, but their outsourced work that they had doing before is all now back in the facility, and of course looking for future sales and things to improve the employment in the future. But at least they have drawn all of their outsourcing work back into their house. So I am going to make a motion that both CF1s for Auburn Gear meet they meet their substantial compliance.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
So Hope's Landing visited them, and they've got like 2 years left on their phase-in, which is not normally information I get. I had to call to find out about that. I knew it'd been a while. They run right now. They're running like 2 vacancies, which is normal, and they're both have applications to fill. So it's kind of like a revolving door. They'll have 1 or 2 vacancies most of the time, and somebody lined up to take those. So they're pretty much full all the time. And so I will make a motion that Hope's Land, the CF1 for Hope's Landing, and find them in substantial compliance.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
So SCP Real Estate, I have several. I don't remember how many. 2.
No,
Yeah.
2 personal property, 2 real property.
Yeah, so 4 CF1s for them. Visited with them, and they have all their equipment and everything in place. Their current employment is 120 right now. Then they were 75 when they first applied, and anticipated 96, and they're at 120. That's a very good thing. Their big news is they're looking to produce a new product, and they make thermocouplers, and they're going to produce a product that includes the shutoff valve and the thermocoupler into one unit, and they're hoping to get that market going and be a whole new concept for the gas. So I find for all 4 CF1s for SCP Real Estate, I make a motion that we find them in substantial compliance.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing, excuse me. Hearing none, I'll call for a question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And Phoenix Auburn Industrial Investors talked with the manager of that and did visit the site, but I couldn't really go into the building because they were doing some remediation. They have a company lined up to lease
a big part of that building. They are leasing some of it for warehousing, so they don't really have employees yet, but it's right around the corner. He could not tell me who they were leasing it to, but it's getting down to the final things they need to do to get that tenant in there. And so for what they had said when they applied for the SB ones, they are doing what they said they're doing. They're fixing up the building and getting it ready to lease and real close to getting that done. So I am making a motion that we find CF1 for Phoenix Auburn Industrial Investors in substantial compliance.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I visited the Strahan Group building. I met with Chris Straw, did a tour. He's current on his employees at about 40. They didn't have any new building additions other than some sound clouds within McIntyre Place, just to help with the noise in that building. They've had lots of bookings this year, which they're excited about. Other than that, nothing new to report. I would need a motion to find them in compliance.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I met with Aaron Lash at Metal X. Their employees are just a little under what they had on their report at 57. Last year, they added a semi-loading dock on the back end of their facility to get some of those semis off Warren Drive. So I got to see that. That was pretty nice. And they have room to grow within that facility. They're pretty happy where they are. I would make a motion to find them within compliance.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I then met with Connie Tech. Their employees are at 362, which is what the report is. They're a little over that. They finished their large project, which they came to us about in 2020. So they gave me an amazing presentation. So I'm looking forward to them coming to council to give that same presentation about where they are and where they'd like to go. So look forward to that probably in the next couple of months. And toured their building, saw their facilities and all of their machines. Everything looked great. I would make a motion to find them within compliance.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, I met with 316 Real Estate LLC, which is the Cretan building there on 7th Street. I met with Stacy Hefty. She gave me a tour of the facilities. They're doing fantastic. They're adding about 3 to 5 offices a year, and they are adding staff. They're originally were going to have other tenants in that building, and the way they're going right now, they may not need to do that because they keep adding their own staff. There is a section of the building at the first floor on the east end where they would like to get a restaurant, a certain kind of restaurant, the right kind of restaurant in there. So that's still in the works. But they're doing a fantastic job, and so I recommend that they are in substantial compliance.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, I also met with on 11th and Phillip LLC, and this is, I think, probably their last year for their phase-in. They overhauled the building, and it all looks really nice. They had new plumbing, new fire suppression, new HVAC, electrical work, new roof, and all of it looks really good. It's all up to date.
They've more than doubled their employees, and they keep on growing. So they've done a fantastic job. So I recommend that they are in substantial compliance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
And the last one I met with was Metal Technologies. And I got a tour of the facilities. They added a new line at Christmas time. All the equipment was installed during that time period, and the new machines are doing fantastic. The workers, the morale is up because they really like working on those lines and those machines. The goal was just to keep the jobs in Auburn, not necessarily add jobs, and they've actually added some jobs. So they're doing above and beyond. So they've done a fantastic job as well. So and they are looking to add more, another line. So they're doing a good job. So I think I want to recommend that they are in substantial compliance as well.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
I do want to thank the committee for doing all the inspections and stuff. We'll have a couple more, probably 2 next year added on from what we've passed before. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I do have one item under reports here real quick. We're trying to arrange for Jennifer Sharkey from LTAP to come to the next council meeting to give updates on HB 1461, which is the community crossings. Due to some of those revisions, which some could include the possibility of wheel taxes and things like that. So she's going to come and give a presentation that she has given to the county just recently. So we're trying to get that set up. Is there any unfinished business to come before the council?
Mayor, I have one question. What's the status on the house on 7th Street?
We had our meeting today. I'll let the city attorney address that one.
It is awaiting further action from the Board of Works. There's been communication with the property owners and looking at some options.
Well, the only reason I asked is I've had a couple of people ask me because they said it seems like every time they go past, it's going more and more downhill. So,
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
They're working through some options, and so is the city. But hopefully, we'll have a resolution one way or the other in the nearish future.
Nearest. Okay.
So the best legal answer I can give you.
Okay.
Do they have like a deadline that they have to be done by?
They were given what was the deadline? They were given until
The 16th.
yesterday to make all the repairs and to fix everything. So next step is to there are some options that are being pursued, and the next step will be to go in front of the Board of Works, and then they will kind of determine the path that we go.
So the repairs weren't completed?
No.
Okay.
They were not.
It's a lengthy process.
Yeah.
Imagine so.
Well, and like I said, there's just been people asking because of, it started how long ago
It was in April, mid-April.
that they were talking about it. And it's like, well, it's still there. What's going on? Are they fixing it or they're not?
Yeah, we had to give them 60 days.
Well, I told them there were some time frames in there
Yes.
that we have to give them certain time to do certain things.
Mhm.
And, but I just want clarification on that. So, okay. Thank you.
Any new business?
I'm curious with budget season coming up on us quickly. Can we get an update on the contract to provide fire service Jackson Township?
Yes. So that has been an ongoing conversation since about March of last year. We entered into our agreement as of July 1st. That agreement does go through December 31st of this year. Um, the city of Auburn will fulfill its current contractual agreement that we currently have in place through the end of this year. However, January 1st, the city will no longer be providing fire services in Jackson Township, and the communications in regards to potentially forming a new territory has ceased on the city's end. I'm going to elaborate a little further that, as an elected official, one of my top priorities is ensuring that the city of Auburn residents and the residents of Union Township continue to receive adequate fire service through the city. Entering into another short-term contract with Jackson's not a solution. The contract currently in place was with the understanding we would look at the territory option, which would be a permanent solution. It's been a struggle we're going on 4 years now. The city will, of course, also continue to fulfill their obligations on their mutual aid agreement. And I have made it clear to the trustee that the mutual aid plan is not intended to relieve a community of the responsibilities of providing adequate emergency services for all local emergencies, since all communities should have their own first line of defense. Also, I made it clear and reinforced that the expectation that each community must maintain its own primary fire protection services. I've notified the township trustee that any request for services beyond the scope of mutual aid after December 31st of this year will result in the city of Auburn seeking full legal recourse to recover any and all costs. At this time, I'm not aware who will be providing fire protection after December 31st, but I can say with certainty it will not be the city of Auburn. As elected officials, we have a responsibility to be transparent with our residents. And I hope Jackson Township residents are aware of the serious situation. If Jackson were to form a territory with Auburn, there may be an increase in property taxes to support the full-time protection. However, one important thing to note is that Auburn's current PPC, which is their public protection classification rating, we're at a 3, a very low 3, really close to a high 2. Jackson's is either a PPC 7 or an 8. So the one thing to keep in mind that although if a territory were formed, property taxes may raise in Jackson Township. However, with the lowering of their rating for their PPC, with their homeowner insurance premiums, there could be potential savings there for those residents as well. But my recommendation that if anybody has any questions or concerns regarding Jackson Township and their plans after December 31st of this year, to call the Jackson Township trustee, Audra Wilcoxon, at 260-925-2945.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other new business? Hearing none, we'll move on. General good and welfare of the community. Next regular council meeting is Tuesday, July 1st, 2025 at 6 p.m.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.